Look at this painting. Look at the silk, the powdered wigs, the porcelain skin of a lady sipping tea, while Handel's Messiah echoes through a gilded opera house. This is the Georgian London you've been sold, a masterpiece of elegance and the age of enlightenment. But now, take a deep breath. That isn't the scent of lavender. It's the suffocating stench of raw human sewage boiling in the gutters. It's the acrid sting of cheap sea coal burning in 100,000 hearths, turning the sky into a yellowish, toxic shroud. That silk dress? It's likely crawling with lice. Those powdered wigs? They're hiding syphilitic sores and months of unwashed grime. Welcome to 1765. This isn't a period drama. This is a survival horror. In the next 24 hours, you aren't a lord in a Mayfair mansion. You are one of the 750,000 souls packed into a city built for half that number. A city where the river is a liquid grave, where children are sold into slavery to climb narrow chimneys, and where your breakfast might actually be killing you. Before the sun sets today, you will witness the richest city on earth at its most miserable, most gin-soaked, and most dangerous. Forget what the history books told you. This is the real London, the one they didn't want you to see. It's 5 a.m., pitch black. The silence of the night isn't just broken, it is shattered. From the massive stone towers of St. Paul's Cathedral, the great bells begin to toll. It's not a gentle call to prayer. It's a cold, metallic command to survive. You're lying on a thin straw mattress on the third floor of a leaning, timber-framed house near Cheapside. The house is over a century old, a relic that survived the Great Fire, and it feels like it's groaning under the weight of too many souls. You aren't alone in this cramped room. You share this space with your wife and your 2 children. You're all huddled together under a single, threadbare wool blanket, trying to trap the last remnants of body heat because coal is too expensive to burn through the night. The moment you sit up, the air hits you. It doesn't feel like air. It feels like grit. It's heavy, metallic, and acrid. This is the smell of sea coal. London burns millions of tons of it to keep its heart beating, and by dawn, the soot has settled like a funeral shroud over the rooftops. Even inside your room, behind closed doors, there is a fine layer of black dust on the table, the floor, and your own skin. You haven't even stepped outside yet, and already, your lungs are beginning to coat themselves in carbon. You look toward the small single window. The glass is warped, bubbling and tinged with green, a cheap luxury that barely keeps the draft out. Through it, you don't see a beautiful sunrise. You see a thick, yellowish, sulphurous haze beginning to swallow the narrow alleyway below. In 1765, they call this the fog, but it's actually a toxic cocktail of smoke and chemicals. There is no snooze button in the 18th century. The bells of St. Paul's are relentless. If you don't stir now, you don't eat. The city is already stirring, a hungry, industrial beast that demands your labor or your life. Your day has begun, and the very air you're breathing is already trying to kill you. Your wife hands you a wooden bowl. This is it, the most important meal of the day, and quite possibly a slow-acting execution. First, the bread. You're holding a penny loaf. It looks white, which in 1765 is a sign of status. Only the poor eat dark, gritty rye bread, right? Wrong. To get that clean, prestigious white color, the baker hasn't used high-quality flour, he's used chemistry. To stretch the dough and bleach the color, your bread is packed with alum, chalk, and sometimes even ground-up animal bones. It's dense, it's chalky, and every bite is a cocktail of slow-acting toxins that will lead to agonizing stomach cramps and malnutrition. Then, there's the tea. A few decades ago, this was a luxury for kings. Now, Thanks to the British East India Company, it's the fuel of the working class. But the tea in your cup is rarely just tea leaves. To maximize profits, dealers stretch the leaves by mixing them with ash tree leaves or even floor sweepings, dyed back to a vibrant green using toxic copper carbonate or lead chromate. You stir in a lump of cheap brownish sugar. It's the only sweetness in your life, but it comes with a bitter aftertaste you can't see. This sugar was harvested by enslaved people in the Caribbean under conditions so brutal that the average life expectancy on a plantation was less than 7 years. You eat quickly. You don't savor it because there is nothing to savor. You are simply fueling the engine for the 12 hours of back-breaking labor ahead. As you swallow the last drop of copper-tinged tea, you look at your children. Your 10-year-old son is already putting on his soot-stained rags. He isn't going to school, he's going into the dark. As the door creaks open, your 10-year-old son steps out into the smog. He isn't carrying books. He's carrying a brush and a bag of soot. He is a climbing boy, a human tool in the service of London's elite. You watch him go, knowing that the chimneys of those grand Mayfair townhouses are narrow, sometimes only 7 inches wide. To fit inside those suffocating stone labyrinths, he has to strip naked. He is sent up into the pitch black, his knees and elbows scraping against abrasive brick and jagged mortar until they bleed. And if he hesitates, if the sheer darkness or the heat of a still smoldering flue terrifies him, his master won't offer comfort. He might light a small fire of straw beneath him to encourage him to climb faster. Or worse, stick pins in the soles of his feet. If your son survives the falls, or the terrifying moments of getting wedged tight in a vertical tunnel, his body will still pay the ultimate price. His joints will grow twisted, his spine permanently bent from the cramped positions he's forced to hold for 14 hours a day. But there's a darker secret hiding in that black dust. 10 years from now, in 1775, a surgeon named Percival Pott will observe a horrific trend among boys like yours. He will identify the first recorded form of industrial cancer in history: chimney sweeps cancer. It is a cruel, agonizing growth caused by the constant abrasive contact of toxic soot against young, porous skin. By the time your son reaches 20, if he is lucky enough to live that long, his body will be a map of scars, tumors, and soot-clogged lungs. In this age of enlightenment, your child's life is worth less than a clean hearth in a nobleman's drawing room. He is disposable. He is a ghost in the making. You step out of your front door and onto the street, but before you take a full stride, stop. Look down. In 1765, the concept of a sidewalk is a luxury found only in the wealthiest corners of the West End. Here, in the heart of the city, there is only the kennel, a shallow, open gutter running right down the center of the cobblestone road. It isn't just rainwater flowing there. It's a thick, sluggish black soup of horse manure, rotting vegetable scraps, and raw human excrement. London does not have a sewer system that won't arrive for another 90 years. Instead, every house sits directly atop a cesspit, a brick-lined hole in the basement where years of your family's waste is simply stored. When these pits overflow, and they always do, the liquid filth seeps into the foundations, rots the floorboards, or spills directly into the street gutters. The smell isn't just a scent, it's a physical assault. It's a heavy, wet stench that coats the back of your throat and makes your eyes sting. Every breath you take is a gamble with miasma, the foul air that every doctor in London believes is the primary cause of death. They don't know about bacteria yet, but they know that where there is a stink, there is a grave. And then there is the Thames, the majestic artery of the British Empire. In reality, it is the world's largest open toilet. Everything the gutters don't catch, the river does. The water isn't blue, it's a murky, bubbling brown, thick with the refuse of 750,000 people, and the literal rivers of blood flowing from the slaughterhouses at Smithfield Market. If you see a nightman, the poor soul whose job is to empty those cesspits by hand into a cart, stay upwind. He is covered in the city's filth, and the fumes from the pits he cleans are so toxic that men frequently drop dead from the sheer intensity of the methane gas. In Georgian London, you aren't just walking through history, you are wading through it. Forget the stench for a moment. Now, listen. The rhythmic scream of handsaws cutting through oak. The heavy metallic thud of mallets hitting iron chisels. The chaotic symphony of a city being born. You've arrived at your workplace, a massive building site near Covent Garden. London is currently undergoing the greatest expansion in its history, a terrifying westward crawl. Entire neighborhoods of red brick townhouses are rising from the mud in mere months. They call this speculative building. Rich investors buy the land, hire men like you, and pray the houses sell before the interest on their loans ruins them. You are a journeyman carpenter. For the next 12 hours, your world is wood and pain. There are no power tools here, no steam-powered saws. Every single floorboard you lay, every elegant sash window frame you carve, every intricate mahogany banister you polish is done by the sheer force of your muscles. Your hands are a map of history, thick with yellow calluses, scarred by slips of the blade, and perpetually stained with a mixture of sawdust and dried blood. If you lose a finger today, you don't go to a hospital, you wrap it in a dirty rag, finish your shift, and hope it doesn't turn black with gangrene by Tuesday. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. Your wage is exactly 2 shillings and 6 pence a day. To you, it's the difference between a warm bed and the gutter. To the man who will buy this house, it's what he spends on a single silk handkerchief. From the outside, these Georgian terraces look like icons of order, symmetry, and the age of reason. But you know the truth hidden behind the plaster. You know that these walls are built on the exhaustion of men whose lungs are turning gray from inhaling fine masonry dust. You are building the most desirable addresses in the world, one timber frame at a time, knowing full well you will never be allowed to step through the front door once the lock is fitted. The sun is at its peak now. Your back feels like it's being fused together by white-hot wire. But you don't stop. In 1765, the only thing cheaper than the bricks is the man laying them. Now, walk just half a mile east from the polished brass knockers and manicured squares of Mayfair. You've just crossed an invisible deadly line. Welcome to the rookery of St. Giles, the black hole of London. Here, the elegant symmetry of Georgian architecture dissolves into a decaying maze of leaning tenements and rotting timber. In St. Giles, the air doesn't just smell of coal, it reeks of desperation and cheap spirit. This is the heart of the gin-craze. Although the peak of the madness technically passed 15 years ago, its shadow still chokes these streets like a lingering plague. You see a sign hanging over a damp cellar door. Drunk for a penny, dead drunk for 2 pence, clean straw for nothing. Gin isn't just a drink here, it's an anesthetic for a life that is too painful to bear. They call it Mother's Ruin for a reason. As you navigate the narrow, filth-slicked alley, you pass a woman slumped in a doorway, her eyes glassy and vacant, clutching a bottle of liquid fire, while her infant cries unheeded in the gutter. This isn't a scene from a horror movie, it's the daily reality captured by the artist William Hogarth. In these slums, parents are known to sell their children's clothes, or even the children themselves, for a single dram of the spirit. Human life is the cheapest commodity in the St. Giles market. thousands of people are packed into single, windowless rooms, sleeping 10 to a bed in shifts. Disease doesn't just spread here, it feasts. Smallpox, typhus, and the itch are your constant companions. In St. Giles, you don't dream of the future. You only hope to survive until the next bottle. While the lords in the West End debate the high philosophy of liberty and the rights of man, the people of the Rookery are enslaved by a different master, one made of grain alcohol and absolute despair. The gap between these two worlds isn't just a matter of money, it's a total fracture of humanity. And as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, the darkness in St. Giles feels a lot heavier than the coming night. While you are scraping the last bits of soot from your skin 3 miles to the west, in the velvet-lined silence of St. James's Palace, a 27-year-old King George III is making a decision that will set the world on fire. This year, 1765, is a turning point in human history, though you don't know it yet. The king and his ministers have just passed the Stamp Act. To them, it's a minor administrative detail, a way to squeeze a little more revenue from the unruly American colonies to pay for the 7 Years' War. The king thinks the unrest across the Atlantic will simply blow over. He is convinced that his subjects in Boston and Virginia will eventually bow to the crown's divine authority. He is wrong. He is catastrophically wrong. The fuse of the American Revolution has been lit, and the British Empire is about to be torn in half. But here is the bitter irony. You know absolutely nothing about this. You don't read the newspapers. They cost 3 pence, more than an hour's hard labor. You don't care about the liberties of the colonists or the divine right of the king. To you, policy is just another word for things getting more expensive. What matters to you isn't a tax on tea in Boston. It's the skyrocketing price of bread in London. It's the fact that the rent for your rotting room has gone up again because the city is bursting at the seams. The king lives in a world of maps and empires. You live in a world of pennies and hunger. While he worries about the borders of Canada and India, you worry about whether you'll have enough coal to keep your children from freezing tomorrow morning. In 1765, the world is changing at a terrifying pace. But for the man at the bottom, the only change is that the weight on your shoulders just got a little heavier. As the sun finally disappears behind the jagged silhouette of St. Paul's, London doesn't just get dark, it becomes a lethal hunting ground. There are no gas lamps yet. Those won't arrive for another 50 years. Instead, the city is lit by the flickering, greasy glow of oil lamps, maintained by weary lamplighters with their ladders and wicks. These lamps don't actually illuminate the street. They only serve to make the shadows deeper, longer, and more menacing. Between these meager pools of light, the footpads and mohawks wait. These are the professional muggers and violent gangs of the 18th century, armed with heavy bludgeons and serrated knives. They know every narrow alley and every shortcut a tired workman like you might take to get home. If you're cornered, don't bother screaming for the police. The Bow Street Runners, London's first professional force, consist of fewer than a dozen men. For a city of nearly 1 million people, they are a ghost of an idea, not a shield. Your safety is entirely in your own hands, and perhaps in the heavy wooden stick you've learned to carry. You walk with your chin down and your ears straining for the sound of extra boots on the cobblestones. You pass the roaring taverns where gin-soaked brawls spill out into the filth, and the dark, predatory corners of the Vauxhall pleasure gardens where lords and pickpockets mingle under the same Chinese lanterns. You don't breathe a sigh of relief until you reach your timber-framed house, climb the rotting stairs, and throw the iron bolt across the door. You have survived another 14 hours. But in 1765, London, a survival is never a permanent state. It's just a temporary reprieve until the bells ring again at 5. The bells of St. Paul's will ring again in just a few hours. Your day is over, but the machine of London never sleeps. It continues to grow, swallowing fields and lives with equal hunger. Here is the final, haunting irony. Those very houses you spent today building, the ones with the blood-stained mortar and the sawdust-filled lungs, they are still standing. 2.5 centuries later, those Georgian terraces are the most prestigious, most expensive addresses in the world. The people who live in them now see architectural beauty. They see a golden age. They don't see the 10-year-old boy dying in their chimney, or the carpenter who traded his health for 2 shillings. This city wasn't built on enlightenment. It was built on the sheer, desperate endurance of 750,000 people who were just trying to survive until tomorrow. We remember the kings, but London was built by the ghosts. If you want to see the real history the textbooks hide, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rebuilding the past, one brutal day at a time. Comment below, which city's dark secrets should we uncover next? As always, we'll see you in the past.